I really resonated a lot with everything that they said, but I think it also captures some of the common misconceptions about therapy too. Like every cell in my body as I was watching, it's like, well, yeah, but you don't necessarily need a specific issue or problem to come to therapy.
Anyone can benefit from this. I don't have to have these serious issues.
If people wait for physical illness, you go to hospital only when there's emergency, then, a lot of people are gonna suffer. Many people now, they go not for emergency sake, but for preventive measure, and they go there to just check up. It would be good if people could sort of approach it similarly.
It's interesting that for a lot of important things in life, we have maintenance scheduled, right? Like even for our cars, we have set maintenance that is recommended for us. But when it comes to taking care of yourself, I think this captures, a lot of what we see and what we hear from the clients who come to therapy. But I think this is like, I really resonated a lot with everything that they said. And there's a lot of truth to what they said about, you look for help when you notice things are starting to impact your functioning in life, whether it is at work or whether it is the way that you interact with people. But I think it also captures some of the common misconceptions about therapy too. Like, you go to therapy when things are really bad. And like every cell in my body as I was watching, it's like, well, yeah, but you don't necessarily need a specific issue or problem to come to therapy, because therapy can also be a place of, personal growth, working on your emotional well-being, building your resilience. And yeah, so it just stirred up a lot of thoughts within me as I was watching. I really appreciated everyone's comments.
I think it's in line with the, how the research out there about Asian American, population. We really come when it's like severe, serious, not as a preventive measure, but more when something you went to, like first you go to your family and you go to maybe your church, and, when it's just not working, when it becomes really serious, and that's when you come. Yeah, so I think it's, so resonate with how the public is thinking and how people that I'm seeing, and when I'm working with them, what I'm hearing. Yeah.
It's interesting because I think there was one individual who said he went to therapy and everyone else, it seems like they haven't. But his perspective in particular was different, where I think he was the only one who said to go before things happen. And that we don't need to, instead of waiting for a crisis or when things get really, really bad, it's actually better to seek out help before that.
And I think he mentioned, I think he was advised to go. So I guess, initially he probably thought, he has to wait, So I think like after you experience therapy, it's like, oh, it's not something you go when it's like everything's crisis. It's actually helpful. Yeah, when you go early. Yeah.
I think that's such a good sign and hopeful sign that we see it all the time, that people do carry these idea that in general, public, they think that you should go to therapy when things get really serious or there's a huge trauma. But when they actually go to therapy and experience what it's like, I can see them like shifting their mind and really understanding that, oh, like anyone can benefit from this. I don't have to have these like serious issues. So I think that was really good to point out. And I agree with Young too. I think that was a really good reflection of where we are today with therapy. I think we moved forward a lot in the past, several years. I think awareness has significantly increased, so people know what therapy is, and different mental health issues like depression and trauma and stuff like that. But I can also see that there's still that barrier that kind of make people feel resistant, that's making them say that, oh, maybe for those people for having serious issues, but maybe not for me. So that was interesting to watch it.
And I was also kind of thinking in parallel with like a physical illness and, mental health, if you think of, associated with brain, it's still part of your body. But, if people like wait for physical illness, they're like, oh, I'm not going to go. And then they all just go emergency rooms, only when you go to hospital, only when there's emergency, then, a lot of people are going to suffer with so much, like pain and whatnot. So, many people now, they go not for emergency sake, but for preventive measure, and they go there to just check up and things like that. So I think, it would be good if people could sort of approach it similarly.
That's one thing that I always thought about when it comes to therapy is it's interesting that for a lot of important things in life, we have, maintenance scheduled, right? Like even for our cars, we have set maintenance that is recommended for us. But when it comes to taking care of yourself, even physical, right? Like we go to see a doctor, it's recommended that we get annual checkup and things like that. But when it comes to mental health, we don't have that. Or relationships, we don't have that, right? So I always thought, oh, wouldn't it be so nice if you could, if there's like, after you get married, there's a 3 months checkup, and then there's a 6 months just kind of check in, right? To see, are things going really well? Are we growing in our, alignment with each other? I always kind of like thought in the back of my mind, I wish there was some sort of a maintenance schedule for relationships.